Today's Q&A is from Mac, one of my most dedicated followers, though I have many of you that come to mind. So if you've been around, you know that Mac is very inquisitive, and sometimes he says things that I know so many of you are wondering. How could you not be? Your world is being turned upside down. Your understanding of good and bad is being uprooted, and you just don't know what to believe. It just so happens that Mac's question is right up my alley. Many of you know that I walked away from my pharmacy license because of the terrible things that I saw the drugs doing to my patients. Not the illness, but I saw prescription after prescription for conditions that were clearly side effects of other drugs. It was bad. Not a few, but I'd say perhaps 50%. I was in Florida, and it's a much older demographic than some places, so I feel comfortable saying that about 50% of the prescriptions that I filled for the elderly or chronic patient was treating a side effect. Think about that for a minute. This past weekend at an herbal conference, I met another ex-pharmacist, and now he's selling herbal concoctions. So my point is that many of us within the system have seen the damage done by prescription drug use, and we sought to utilize the natural medicines along with prevention to heal ourselves. So that will color my response to at MacArthur Louisin Rs 7TL, who asked,
Are you saying we should get rid of all vaccines?
I don't know, Mac. What I'm saying is that our government has been so corrupt for so long that much of what they have done to us with the industrial medical complex was for money and not our health. I think that there needs to be a major overhaul of the medical system, and in fact, our entire world. Our entire environment is toxic. So do we remove the toxins, or do we remove the drugs? Perhaps both. Obviously, the only way to eliminate drug use quickly is with the med beds. Until that happens, there will be a continuing need for drugs until the toxins are identified and removed from our food, air, and stressful frequencies. So my hope is that we can remove all drugs, including vaccines, from our environment. I don't know if that is realistic in emergency situations such as car accidents, etc., but I believe we can decrease worldwide chronic drug use to almost non-existent. But what do we do until that time? So regarding vaccines, what I'm saying is that we should definitely have the freedom to choose. There is no pandemic and hasn't been in my lifetime that required all of the vaccines that children must take to get into school. My daughter got my grandson exempted. He's 13 and never had any of the alleged deadly diseases. My dog came out of cancer remission when she got a rabies shot against my knowledge. In his recent speech, President Trump said that autism rates have increased from 1 in 10,000 children to 1 in 36 since we started requiring vaccines. Can you imagine that? I did a quick search, and the search engines are inundated with articles disputing this from MSN, USA Today, and the other usual suspects. But if you haven't learned yet, Trump's figures are going to be substantially accurate. The side effect reports on most vaccines are unacceptable in my opinion, and I don't think we should be forced to give them to our children. Secondly, we must study the etiology and ongoing need for every vaccine on the market. Do we even need that vaccine? How many cases have we had of the various ailments? If there is a need, then we require an ANDA or abbreviated new drug application, similar to what is used for generics, which can streamline the approval process significantly. But before we even get there, we need to determine if we need the vaccine. If we don't, then there should be some provisional approval that allows manufacture but not distribution unless there is an outbreak. Off the top of my head, I don't know of any vaccines that are critical for people in the US unless we travel to infected countries or let infected people into the country. So there needs to be a worldwide study to determine what is really necessary, because we have learned that prophylactically taking drugs isn't always the smartest thing to do. If the current vaccines are allowed to stay on the market, I hope that RFK Jr. will have them reformulated. A lot of them have aluminum in them. Aluminum is used in some vaccines as an adjuvant, which helps stimulate a stronger immune response. It has been included in vaccines for over 90 years to improve their effectiveness. Most of the side effects of aluminum are related to brain function, so the fact that they have had it for 90 years only tells me how long they have been dumbing us down. Maybe it started innocently, who knows, but it needs to go. Also, the fact that the vaccine doesn't work effectively without the aluminum is a bit of a concern. The argument is that there is a very small amount in the vaccine, but what everybody is forgetting is that these toxins accumulate because they are in lots of stuff we use every day, such as deodorant, antacids, and drinking waters, just to name a few. Also, since it's removed through the kidneys, it can accumulate in kidney disease. Another consideration is that the pharmaceutical community is big on mRNA technology right now, which is a lipid nanoparticles that are tiny, and can get through all sorts of barriers. The mRNA vaccines are lipid-soluble because they are designed to merge with cell membranes, which are also lipid-based. Let me explain what that means. mRNA vaccines have the ability to permeate every cell in your body, including your brain and every neuron in your body. mRNA technology could be a wonderful method of drug delivery in cancer treatments, genetic disorders, autoimmune and inflammatory diseases, tissue regeneration, and infectious diseases. But as with anything, do you want something put into your body that has the potential to infect every cell in your body? It's always a risk versus benefit thing, guys. If you don't really need it, there's no benefit, but there's also no risk. It seems that many of us may be at a crossroads in the future, and we are going to have to decide whether we go down the path of natural healing or if we are going to stay with the current system of putting foreign poisons into your body, which literally becomes a slow-growing cancer. Our dependence on drugs will not disappear overnight. It will be a process. One thing that I believe is that we will be mentored by higher beings when we receive our medbed treatments. What that means, I'm not certain. There could be a training required before or after treatment, or it could mean that we will have the opportunity to interact freely with higher intelligences. I'm sure at some point that will occur, but I don't know how soon. What I do know is that somewhere in our future, we will be healing ourselves. There will be little need for medicines, certainly not chronic. Our food and air will be clean. The hate will go away and our civilization will be healed. We will all become one, equal in spirit. Fear will disappear and productivity will increase. This is the future for those who want to go there. Others will eventually perish from the system. Dr. Deepak Chopra said many years ago that in the future, doctors will be teaching patients to heal themselves. I believe he's right. I believe there will be no need for drugs in the future, but when that time will be, I can't tell you. I only know that we are closer than we have been in my lifetime.